Ed here from CAD class. I'm just going to do a little walkthrough of how to use the connectors in SimLab to make the spinning part. So I'm going to walk through and hopefully it helps get to grips with what's going on. So first of all, I'm just going to drag a cylinder in. I'm going to change its dimensions to 50 by 50 and I'm just going to make it a little bit shorter like so. I'm going to change the colour to blue so it kind of reflects what happens in the book. And then what I'm going to do is go into the shapes library, and you'll notice it's slightly different from the book. There's a new little tab here called SimLab. They've only introduced this in the last couple of days, and what I'm going to do is take the axial connector and drop it onto the top of the face of the cylinder here. I'm going to highlight them both. I'm going to press L to align. I'm just going to make sure now that connector is totally aligned to the center of the cylinder. If you want to play around with that later on and see what happens if it's not aligned, that's quite a fun thing to do. I'm going to get my basic shapes. Now I'm going to use the box. I'm going to pop it on the top side and I'm going to use it to make a paddle. You can play around with the proportions of it, see how you get on with it. And what I need to do now is, once I've kind of got it in place, is to define what the connections are between the two bits. So when I zoom in and click on my connector, I'm going to grab the orange and white disc and pop it onto the paddle. I'm going to get the other disc and make sure it's snapped onto the blue cylinder, and then I can see it's connected because it's gone blue and white. I can then just go across if I want to and use my align tool again and check everything is lined up. Okay, and I can even use my arrow keys on my keyboard to shift this thing in and out as I want to. So I should hopefully be up and running now. I've got my connectors in place. It's defined the relationship, so I'm going to pop over to the SimLab now. When I'm ready, I'm going to press play and start simulating. Then I'm going to need to hit the left mouse button over and over again in order to throw stuff at it. And when you throw stuff at it, it will hit the paddle and it will start turning. That's the general gist of that workflow. You can, if you want to, now go and make some changes. So you can see what happens if you change this from a default plastic material to a concrete material. Its density increases. So now when we throw stuff at it, it might move more slowly because it's got more resistance to movement. So that's a really cool place to go and play around. And then of course you can go back if you want to into your design and see what happens when you start to move things around. How does the performance of the simulated object change as you do things? Do you get a different kind of movement? Okay, and we can see we get different movement here. So I hope that helps and gets you up and running. I'd love to know what I've got with the rest of the book. Cheers.